for Concentrix Philippines. My name is Nika Pasis. I'm the Director for Marketing and Communications for Concentrix Philippines. Thank you once again for coming. And today, we are very privileged to have 3 panelists from our senior leadership team. Let me introduce them to you, and they will share a few words before we start the Q&A. So I hope that's okay. Okay, so we'll give them some airtime to share with us their messages, and then I will cue the Q&A after. So first, of course, no less than our President and CEO, Mr. Chris Caldwell, is here with us. Afternoon, Chris. We also have our Senior Vice President and the Country Leader of Concentrix Philippines, Mr. Amin Braga, and our Vice President for People Solutions, that's our what we call HR in Concentrix, People Solutions, Ms. Hazel Bañas. So they will be giving the questions in our Q&A portion today as well. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be very informal, so don't worry. You will get a chance to ask your questions. I think with the intimate setup here, we'll have enough time to cover all of your questions. Okay? So at this point, I would like to call on our first speaker to share with us some of their messages that they'd like to share around why we're here, what this means for Concentrix, that we're having this launch, and so on and so forth. Over to you.
Yeah, I can start. So once again, thank you, our friends from the media, to be with us today. Some of you were already there in that event downstairs, and you would have understood the reason why what we are celebrating today. This is a historic event. I don't think any company in the Philippines has ever been able to launch 3 facilities on a single day. And what makes it even more exciting and proud for me is that these facilities were built at the peak of the pandemic. There was a time when it was even difficult to move people from one place to the other, and that was the time when we were able to build these facilities, staying completely within the rules and regulations that were defined by the US, and it's something really, really proud as we look back. As I sorry about that. Am I audible now? Okay. So as I was saying, a very proud moment for us, because no company in the Philippines has been able to achieve something like this, where they are inaugurating 3 facilities in a single day. I think I am also very excited with the spread of these 3 facilities, being in each region of the Philippines, between Visayas, Mindanao, and Luzon. It shows that we're not just too focused on Metro Manila. We are looking at countryside development. We are looking at places outside of Metro Manila where we are expanding, and that makes us very, very proud. We've created 30,000 square meters of new space. We've created 4,500 seats, and we've created opportunities which can support 7,500 jobs. These are pretty amazing numbers. These numbers are bigger than the total scope of a lot of our competitors. So really, really proud of what the team has accomplished, and it has happened because we've seen significant growth coming. So just a little bit of that context as we take you through more details. And now I'll hand it over to Hazel first to talk about the people aspect, and then finally to Chris to give the overall perspective from the board.
Hello. Okay. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. At ako ay nagpapasalamat at kayo ay nakadalo sa aming celebration ngayon. So taking off from what Annie said, we are thoughtful in what and where we invest. And certainly, one facet is workplace and work environment. How safe, conducive, well-equipped, and well-supported our staff are. Earlier, we saw the videos from the 3 different sites, and it demonstrates that we build the sites with state-of-the-art facilities and diverse issues to support them. The second facet is actually more about supporting a holistic well-being of our staff. How we engage, reward them, and even enable physical and mental health. So these are all equally important. We provide benefits and initiatives to support all that. Example would be like transportation assistance for those who are commuting, going to the office, or even internet connection for those who are working from home. And we also provide medical benefits not only for our staff but also for their families, which is, as you know, very, very important during this pandemic time. And even providing mental health support. Okay, so I talk about a lot of investments for our people. So what do this all come down to? Happy and engaged employees means they could provide the right or best experience for our clients. So I'll turn you over to Chris for a few words as well.
So thank you very much for coming. From my perspective, we operate in a little over 40 countries around the world. And when we look at where we put work, it comes down to a couple things in terms of competitiveness of the country, comes down to the talent pool that we can get, both from a skilled perspective and number of skilled people perspective. And then it also comes down to the environment that our clients want to do their work in. So they equally have a participating say in where they want that work to be done. And for the Philippines to be successful, all these 3 things have to line up for it to continue to grow. From our perspective, the announcement today shows that over the last 1.5 to 2 years during the pandemic, the work in the Philippines still was world class, that the labor pool is still very deep as well as very talented in order to be able to grow. And that, certainly with the environment within the Philippines, it continues to get better and better for people wanting to do more work in the Philippines. And so we see this as, again, another step in our growth, and certainly an ability to continue to grow within the Philippines, provided all these parameters still hold true into the future, which is very, very important for us as an organization. And so from that perspective, since you've been talked to for so long, I think it's probably more apt that you get to ask your questions, and then we have some discussion. So with that, why don't we open up for questions?
Okay, there.
Hello, good afternoon. Nasa mic. I have the mic. Sorry. Good afternoon and congratulations on your simultaneous launch for 3 sites. I'm LA from Ilang, Manila. Would like to ask first, let's do a throwback during the height of the pandemic. Were you able to do 100% offsite, or was that a mix? What was the mix during that time? And then during, I published one of your articles that you have vaccinated all the employees and individual families. What was the effects on those? Was it a positive note? Did you have any resistance when they were asking all the call centers and BPOs to return 100% or something like that? And right now, Mr. Jagal mentioned about 100,000 employees. That's for all sites, which makes you on the top 3 or which top 1?
Largest private employer.
So that's number 1. Great, congratulations then. So I hope you can answer both the first and second questions.
So from a global look, at the height of the pandemic, March 2020, when things started locking down, at one point we had almost 65,000, 70,000 people unable to work. But we continued to pay people, and very quickly we were able to get them back working. And we were able to get them working both from a work and home environment, Very quickly, we were able to do bubbles, where we were able to take over buildings like hotels and
So you had to relocate some of the employees
Correct.
and have them in-house, sort of.
correct. We took over literally tens of thousands of hotel rooms and had people in bubbles that transported themselves from the hotels to the offices for periods of time, and then they would switch out with other staff. And then we had very few core staff actually staying in sites where we converted floors into sort of residences to manage our servers and data farms and everything like that. It was an incredible team effort from the entire team to be able to support the work. And very quickly, probably in about 45 days, we had almost the entire staff back to working, and then continued to do some sort of hybrid environment up until even now. Despite sort of claims of 100% coming back to work, we don't believe that is in the best interests of our team members. We believe that it needs to be hybrid. There's some work that needs to be done in offices. There's some work that needs to be done at home. And it's better for the staff to be able to have that flexibility. And so we're continuing to support that.
Would you be able to share the mix? Is that a 90-10, 80-80? How many are off-site? How many are in-house? What are the qualifications? Are these technical? Are these sort of virtual assistants? Or what are the skill sets that are not required to go on-site?
So our current mix is 50-50. We have 50% of our staff in the Philippines working from home, 50% of our staff working in the sites. And then we've got a lot of shared services teams and leadership roles where there is complete flexibility. They can actually bridge and move between working from home or working from a site, depending on the kind of work they're expected to do. In terms of skills, there isn't like a specific skill, but roles which have high levels of security dependency, roles in the banking sector, roles where there could be a potential of high fraud, we prefer to keep them in the sites. And then there are roles which are relatively risk-free, and we have a lot of investments in the security areas that we deploy at home, which is where we are able to take those roles at home.
Are your accounts more on Eastern time, or does it have a 24/7 follow the sun, or
We are a genuine 24/7 organization. In the Philippines, we support the APAC region, we support the Europe region, we support the North American region. So we are a genuine 24/7 organization.
so aside from the English speaking, you have other
We have other languages.
languages? Thank you for that. I'm passing the mic to Liz.
Based on your interview with CNN before, how did you develop the consensus that you guys should work hybrid, or it's a mix, or others should have work from here, the others from here? How did you develop the consensus? Because some of the people, I think I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, resisted going because of the challenges that were presented to them.
Yeah, look, our belief is doing what's right for the staff members, and I think the reality is that, as all of you in Manila can attest to the traffic, and how much time you spend in traffic, if someone can stay at home and save an hour to 3 a day, as well as commute costs, then that's a beneficial thing. And so our belief is that if we can support that, and if our clients will allow us to support it, because again, our clients are part of the discussion when we do work at home, then we should do work at home. And there is some additional cost to that, but we feel that it's the right thing to do for our staff members. And so we've taken a different position than many of the others who are trying to force everybody, regardless of what they do, back into the office. We just don't feel that that's the right thing. And frankly, it puts the Philippines at a disadvantage competitively globally, because almost everywhere else in the world is supporting a much more enhanced work at the home program than currently what is being considered in the Philippines. Next question.
The better, how the best actually setting that you, and if you don't go back to your regular how did the regional office take
We made a decision, and it was a very quick decision, that it was better to forego some of those costs and benefits for the sake of our staff. I don't think that's a long-term viable decision for the Philippines to keep. We need to be able to support work at home, but at this point in time, we believe we made the right decision for our staff.
Hi, good afternoon. Bob Reyes here. What is the current attrition rate for your staff, and what are the primary reasons why Concentrix staff leave the company?
Sorry, what was the last part of the question?
Sorry, there. What's the current attrition rate for your company, and what's the primary reason or reasons why staff leave the company?
Yeah, we don't release our attrition rate. We will say it's better than pre-COVID levels based on what we've done for our team members through the course of COVID. I would say that generally the reason for leaving is probably those career opportunities where they feel like they could go somewhere else because of an opportunity. I would tell you though, we get a lot of boomerang people who come back after they've experienced that and come back to the organization.
Thank you. Next question. What is the youngest age that you can hire, and if there are academic background requirements for you to hire someone for the first time, even if they do not have any background in BPO?
So we are an equal opportunity employer, and we do not necessarily limit ourselves from hiring any specific graduate course. In terms of the age, we promote diversity in the organization, and so we hire for as long as they are high school graduate or as long as they are legally to work.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to ask other questions?
Hi, hello. I wanted to ask, apart from Cebu and Davao, what other key cities do you plan on expanding to in, let's say, the next few months or years? And can you give us the total number of sites that you actually have globally? Sorry, locally.
I can give you the Philippines number. So
Yeah.
with the 3 sites that we launched today, we now have 50 sites across 20 cities in the Philippines. And that makes us the largest private sector employer in the Philippines with over 100,000 staff members. We are now very, very focused on countryside development. And that's high on the agenda of the government, that's high on our agenda, because we feel that the markets in some of the largest cities are getting very interested. The level of talent that is available outside the large cities is also very, very good. One of the cities that we have recently opened in a partnership with another company is Iloilo. We've already hired 400 staff members in Iloilo, and hopefully very soon we will be opening a new site in Iloilo as well in the near future in October. So that's one of the examples. We've had a site in Baga for a long time in Bicol, and that site is doing extremely well now and expanding. We would cross 1,000 people in Baga very, very soon as well. So some really great stories coming up from outside of Cebu, Davao, Metro Manila areas, where we see really nice success stories. Number of stories where the clients are first hesitant, but once they start their business, they're in smaller cities, smaller provinces, they're getting great results out of it. And now I to Chris to share global numbers.
I would also add, one of the things that we've done in the Philippines that's been quite successful is open small micro hubs that are very small for supporting work at home. And we believe that, if work at home is more promoted and adopted and the infrastructure there to support it, then really you can employ people regardless of where they are, whether they go back to their home provinces, doesn't matter. And I think that's a huge opportunity for growth within the Philippines, certainly for us and for the country as a whole. In terms of global sites, we have a little over 300 sites. In some countries, we've reduced numbers of physical sites as there is more work at home. And in other countries, we've grown physical sites. But right now, we're sitting a little over 300 physical sites around the world.
So, thank you.
I just want to ask, what is the edge of Concentrix compared to other contact centers here in the Philippines? But also, what do you offer? What's the edge of Concentrix from other companies?
What's the advantage of Concentrix over other BPO players in the Philippines?
I think number of advantages in the way start talking about this probably I take a full day, but I talk about the big ones. The biggest one is our scale. the level of career opportunities and the kind of opportunities that we can provide is unparalleled. I myself joined Concentrix 22 years ago as a frontline staff, and today I am responsible for managing 100,000 people in the Philippines. And I am not alone. My story is not an individual story. My counterpart in India is similar. The person who runs another geo is similar. So we've provided a number of opportunities, and like I benefited, a number of other colleagues benefited like me and have grown the organization over a period of time. So if you ask me one single biggest factor on how Concentrix stands out, it's you don't join for the job, you join for a long-term career within the organization. The other thing I would say, which is a big differentiator, is our investment on learning and development. We literally bake in time, paid time for people to learn, and that's something which we feel that some of our peers do it, but the focus and attention that we have, the kind of investments that we made, be it the kind of courses that are there or the kind of LMS that we've invested in, really differentiates us because people can actually learn. And then the third thing I would say is purpose. We are a very purpose-driven organization, which is trying to make a difference to the communities that we are in. And today, if you look at it, a number of our staff members are looking for purpose, and I feel that Concentrix does provide that overall purpose to the staff when it comes to education.
Anybody else have any other questions?
I'd like to ask, how many microsites are you planning to build in the Philippines? Microsites, as Mr. Calvin mentioned earlier.
We've already built 3, and we are getting some great response from these. As Chris mentioned already, these are not in the big cities; they're in the outskirts, where people can actually use them for various services. We're even using those sites to do vaccination programs. We're even using those sites for people to collect their gifts, their holiday baskets, and a number of things, apart from the regular things that we can do in the site. Our plan is to grow this to approximately 10 sites in the future, and we're working through the investments needed to get there. And we feel this is a model of the future, which will really help grow the business in the Philippines.
Good afternoon, sir. I just wanted to ask, with the opening of these 3 new recruitment hubs, do you have a target of how many employees you would like to hire by the end of the year? And how does that compare to your number of employees last year?
We don't give specific hiring numbers by geo, but really we're looking at tens of thousands of people to be hired in the Philippines in the coming months. Typically, our industry goes through a season, as some of you might be aware, because as we go towards Christmas and holidays, we see an uptake in a lot of our retail clients and a lot of our consumer electronic clients and a number of other clients where we have to hire quite a bit. So we are actually in the midst of the season, we're preparing for the season right now, and we're looking at hiring tens of thousands of people into the Philippines in the coming probably 4 to 6 months.
As regarding work from home, I just wanted to ask if your stance on work from home. Will this be a permanent thing for your operations here? Or are you looking to maybe grow the percentage of people working in the office and maybe when things are better?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, it is a bit of a conversation with the clients. Clients have to support it, but if the clients support it, we definitely want to support it. And we believe that probably the 50-50 balance is probably where it will end up as we have growth, because some stuff will need to be done in offices. I mean, we're continuing to rent more space, we're continuing to grow more space, but we're also hopefully going to continue to grow our work at home population at the same time. To us, we believe it's an imperative that work at home is supported in the Philippines, because if not, it creates challenges with other countries willing to offer it, that compete for the same type of business that the Philippines competes with.